Just the image here, that association of Donald Trump with something that for many evokes memories of Adolf Hitler. Is that a fair association?
I don't think it's a fair association. Look, this is something fun he does with his audience, and unfortunately we see Hitler comparisons all too often in politics. Reagan was compared to Hitler, Esquire magazine compared it to Hitler, and LA cartoonists depicted him as such. And we see this with Obama. I've seen conservative radio talk show hosts compare him to Hitler. Unfortunately, it's become a go-to comparison. I think it's irresponsible. I think it's unethical. This is a genocidal maniac that killed 11 million people. To compare any American politician to Hitler is unacceptable.
But let's set the Hitler comparison aside, because it's the positions, right, that draw this comparison, if not to Hitler, to authoritarian leaders, changing libel laws, telling soldiers to disobey the law, forcibly deporting 11 million people. That's the substance behind the comparison, whether it's Hitler or not. It's those kinds of positions that lead some to say, wait a second, this is un-American.
Sure, but for the most part, when you really look into these positions, they are mainstream opinions. The libel laws, for instance, that was something Scalia was for, opening up libel laws. The terror and waterboarding and whatnot, that was allowed in the Bybee memos. It was a memo that was rescinded, but it was a legal mechanism. He was right to come out and clarify what he meant. It was wrong of him to say or to allude to the fact that he would go beyond the law. I was very pleased to see him tell the Wall Street Journal what he meant and to clarify that position. But by and large, when you look at the specifics of his policies, it's easy to generalize, but the specifics are well within the bounds of law. And to compare him to Hitler because of those policies, again, I think it's irresponsible.
And to be fair as well, he changed the position on forcing soldiers to disobey the law, Geneva Conventions on torture, etc. Kayleigh and panel, stay here for a moment, because we're just joined now by the Arizona campaign chairman for the Trump campaign. He is Jeff DeWitt. He's also the state treasurer of Arizona. Jeff, if I could ask you, since you're with the campaign, you heard Kayleigh commenting here, but you've certainly heard the criticism, the appearance of this sort of Sieg Heil kind of pledge, but also the positions. What is your response to that kind of criticism?
Well, it's just absurd. It's the more scared the establishment gets that Donald Trump is going to be the nominee, the more ridiculous the attacks are that they use against him. And if you're saying that raising a hand in the air is now, anytime you do that, it's a Hitler comparison, then, I go to church on Sunday, and there's a lot of people, when they're singing, they raise a hand in the air. Or when you go to court and you put your hand on the Bible and you raise one hand in the air, does that mean all those were inspired by Hitler? No, of course not. So it's absolutely absurd. Donald Trump
but Jeff,
has great fun with his audience, and he wanted to make sure everyone voted. He said, hey, raise your hand in the air, tell me you're going to go vote. It's just absurd. The whole thing is absurd.
But to be fair, Jeff, that symbolism comes with hard positions that the candidate himself has posited repeatedly and defended. Things like banning Muslims from the country, things like changing libel laws, forcibly deporting 11 million people, as I mentioned earlier. It's that connection that many people are making to positions that strike many people on both sides, frankly, Democrats and Republicans, as authoritarian, not democratic.
Those weren't Hitler's positions. Hitler's position was to go take over the world and go and forcibly use the military to dominate other countries. And nothing like that has ever been said by him or any other candidate that I know of. So it's a ridiculous comparison, and I'm surprised it's getting any airtime at all, quite frankly.
Jeff, just in terms of the effects on a key day, Super Tuesday 2 today, key state, certainly Michigan, a big prize for the Trump campaign. Is the campaign concerned about these associations and that it will give voters pause as they go into the voting booth who might have voted for Trump, that it'll make them change their minds?
Well, we think that voters are smart enough to see through it. It's just a typical political attack. Obviously, you don't like to see it. They always save these until, right on game day, right on election day. And they'll drop these crazy things, kind of like you saw that new Cruz did it to Ben Carson, and now the Cruz campaign or somebody associated with them did another email like that saying that Marco Rubio was going to be out and you're wasting your vote voting for him. And so all these attacks come right on election day where you see these kind of things. And so there's always that concern of, wow, why do they do this? But, it's politics and everyone sees through it. And quite frankly, this attack is so blatantly absurd that I don't think it's going to give anybody pause. But, it's just something you wish wasn't a part of politics. I wish they would stick to the issues.
Jeff DeWitt with the Trump